This is Win News.
Tonight, the multi-million-dollar plan to breathe life back into Civic. Good evening, I'm Jessica Good. The heart of Canberra's CBD is about to undergo a major transformation. A new plan aims to double the number of people living in Civic. Major surface car parks are set to make way for new residential and office towers.
At times, Civic can seem a little quiet. That's all about to change though. Over the next 5 years, the government wants to attract 5,000 more residents and 8,000 more workers into the CBD. An early estimate puts the cost to taxpayers at $100 million, but the private investment it could attract is more than 10 times that.
We believe that over this next 5 years, the private sector will invest in the order of $1.5 billion in the city centre, in new residential accommodation, in upgrades to existing shops.
$70 million of public funds will be spent sprucing up some of the CBD's 22 hectares of public space. Another $20 million will go towards more bus stops in City West, turning Marcus Clark Street into 4 lanes and upgrading Constitution Avenue. But the idea isn't to get more people driving. On the contrary, the cost of parking will rise to entice more Canberrans onto public transport.
Parking in the city centre of Canberra is cheaper than it is in Wollongong or Newcastle or Sydney or Melbourne or Brisbane.
CBD Limited says much of the plan is achievable and there is room for 5,000 more residents.
There are a number of buildings in the city that are probably getting towards the end of their use-by date. They could be redeveloped.
The public is being invited to have its say on the draft plan. The Property Council and the opposition would like to see it form part of a broader study.
You can't do it unless you do the broader planning for infrastructure and how you're going to grow the rest of the city as well as the CBD.
Lachlan Kennedy, Win News.
There's been a mixed response to the ACT government's $100 million plan to turn Civic into a modern, sustainable city centre. The draft includes plans for a much bigger residential population and an increased workforce. But critics say they want to see more detail, and there are calls for a much more rigorous city plan.
A city centre fit for a national capital by 2016. That's the aim of the ACT's draft plan for the Civic area. The plan outlines a modern, sustainable city centre, buildings with high energy ratings and far fewer cars. The residential population is forecast to double, and the number of people working in the city is also expected to dramatically increase, something the government and some city traders hope will breathe new life into areas away from the Canberra centre. It's hard to find anyone against the plan.
The idea of having thousands more people live in Civic, I think, is a good one. What we need to see now is actually some detail.
It's a frustration shared by others.
It seems about every 2 years the government or someone issues a plan for Civic, and we would like to see some actual commitment by the government.
It is disappointing that after years of conducting planning studies and a range of other investigations that we still at this stage don't have a master plan for our central business district in the nation's capital.
Property owners have warned the residential increase will require big changes, including the conversion of some office space.
The other factor will be land release specifically for residential development.
And that will require changes to planning rules, something that will need cooperation from the Commonwealth and the National Capital Authority. The Greens are also concerned about the transport plan, which promises sustainability but has increased car parks by 3,000.
We'd like to see the government really look at the transport solutions and say, yes, we do want to prioritise sustainable transport more than prioritising parking.
The government believes the private sector will pour $1.5 billion into the area in the next 5 years. But it's not saying yet how much it will contribute to its own plan to update Civic. The public will have until March the 16th to comment on the plan. Elizabeth Byrne, ABC News, Canberra.